Please welcome Steve McQueen and MIchael Fassbender. One of the things that's very impressive in the film is you sense a real shared history between those two characters, even though not a lot of information is actually spoken about, you know, what happened to them, where they come from. Did you, sort of as actors, build your own character histories and figure out the backstory of these characters together, or did Steve provide a lot of that? How was that worked out?
Well, you know, again, that was like a really clever decision, and both Steve and Abby's, to sort of make them, you know, to have siblings. Mm-hmm. There's a real honesty between sort of siblings, I think, and a real cruelty as well. You know, although there's a very strong sort of bond, but also there's an awareness of all the weak points and how to hit them and how to really strike home.
I just want to add, it was interesting because myself, Kerry, and Michael both have siblings of the opposite sex, so that was an interesting starting point as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Please don't interrupt me when I'm talking. So we sat down, of course, you know, we sat down, the three of us, and
there's a comment about the size of your forehead in the film. And I'm wondering whether that there is an extraordinary internal life that's going on. I wonder how you, where you go in there, if you can articulate that. I mean, how does that thought process begin to germinate for you, and where does it take you? And to follow that up, I wonder whether there's also a kind of like a psychological gesture that goes on with you that seems very connected with that. The moment where you start moving your leg, for example. I mean, it's just like it sizzles. I don't know how to describe it any other way. Sorry, this is taking too long. My comments take too long. But you also seem to back that up with kind of like a psychological space that seems to. That there's a location that's psychologically connected. The image is connected to what's going on with him internally, and I wonder how that manages to come together so well in the film.
Well, it's partly a question for Michael about how he develops the character's internal life and some of his psychological gestures, and somewhere in there, something about the size of his forehead. And there was and for Steve, how he marries sort of the spaces in the film, the visual plan of the film, to what's going on internally in the characters.
It's very simple. You know, if I'm not saying anything, I am saying something. I mean, my lips just aren't moving. So I've got a dialogue going on all the time. It's like, you know, even if I sort of say to you, you know, it's like, hey, where were you last night? But I know that you were somewhere that I didn't like, or whatever. You know, there's a subtext always going on. I might say one thing and mean something else. So in those scenes where I'm not saying anything, I've still got a dialogue going on. It's just my lips aren't moving.
This may not be the most obvious question about a film with so much skin, but I'm very curious about the costumes. Your choices of costumes seem to be, there seems to be a gender divide. Brandon is dressed impeccably the whole time, whereas the women all seem to in some way mirror the sister in the messiness, in the coats, in the scarves. Am I completely, I see your face, completely wrong? I'm
actually thinking about what you're saying. I'm thinking,
woman in the suit.
No, I don't see that. No, I don't see that. But also, you know, unfortunately,
Elizabeth's character. Yeah. Right. Elizabeth's character, the woman that's, that Brandon picks up in the bar. The woman that Brandon picks up in the bar, you know, she's impeccably dressed. She's obviously a businesswoman. Marianne is very beautifully dressed.
I mean, you know, you ladies, you're lucky you have a choice. Often it's the case, you've got, you know, a suit. like penguins. So, you know, you're very, variable in your clothing. So that's it. Nothing to do with messiness at all, far from it, but stylishness, absolutely.